After arriving at UCLA on full scholarship, you end up getting arrested and suspended your freshman year. But you come back from this and keep playing at UCLA until you have a mental crisis and step away from the team. And then months later, they find your bones in the jungles of Costa Rica. Just 1 year before he was found, Jalen Hill had just played his final game at UCLA. Once considered a draft prospect, instead of returning to follow his dreams, he abruptly retired from basketball in April 2021. And likely to deal with the anxiety and depression that he was experiencing, he traveled to Costa Rica with his sister in April of 2022. But this is where it gets confusing. It's insisted from the investigation that Hill had been traveling to Costa Rica frequently for unknown reasons. His sister states that they spent the first 2 months exploring jungles and beaches, staying between several Airbnbs, but she also states that she had only been with him for 2 days before he disappeared. This implies that despite both being in Costa Rica, they were staying in different rentals at some point. Now, the location where the skeletal remains were found is pretty remote, in the middle of nowhere about 2 hours from the nearest settlement, a place even authorities describe as difficult to access. And Hill's sister also states she believes he was headed to Quepos, a small town on the western coast of the country. She insisted that he had already been there multiple times. But why? Costa Rica is not necessarily known for being dangerous, but this region in particular saw a huge spike in crime targeting tourists. So only 2 scenarios can make sense of what happened to Jalen Hill. Costa Rica's murder rate is surging, and is so because of increased gang activity. It's home to warehousing and international shipping points that send their products to Europe, with an emphasis on keeping control on the local marijuana market. Now, despite Hill's sister saying that they smoked some good weed when they were in the country, I don't see much of a connection there. But according to the former security minister of Costa Rica, about 70% of all murders in the country are related to drug trafficking. And the year that Jalen was visiting just so happened to end as the deadliest year in Costa Rica's history. Now, Quepos is a small town, very small, but the fact that it's on the coast makes the surrounding state a hotbed for gang activity, where in just the month leading up to Jalen's disappearance, there were 6 bodies found in the surrounding state, including 1 American in her own condo, 2 men found in a charred out vehicle, and another lifeless near the burned out vehicle wearing handcuffs. This was not a good place to be, and the police still haven't released any cause of death. Unfortunately, I can only think of Jalen being in the wrong place at the wrong time, at the height of the country's gang war. The remote location makes it seem as though he was disposed of. 3 of those 6 bodies discovered in the month leading up to Jalen's disappearance were also in remote areas. Other than this, the only other explanation for what happened to Jalen Hill is that he took his own life. And the fact that Jalen did this to himself has been hinted at by members of his family. But unfortunately, 2 years later, it doesn't look like we'll be getting any updates soon. But before you guys go, share this around and let's try to help out Andrea's dad. He worked in a hospital for over 30 years and then he lost his leg and he ended up losing his job because of it. And we don't want him to lose his house, man. So share this around to your grandma, to your mom, to your dad, everybody, and let's just all do whatever we can to help.